Mario versus Sonic. Which one is the better gaming franchise? Hello there, welcome to another episode of the 90s Kid Show via the Review Space channel. In this video I just want to compare basically what is the better franchise, Mario or Sonic? Well, this was actually tough. This one is a very hard one because both are really good, both have their standout franchises. So, you know what, let's break it down. I'm not even going to reveal what I think is better until the end of the video. Let's talk about the different genres and the comparable games. Alright, let's begin with the platformers. Of course, Mario has the Mario Brothers series on the NES Classic, and then you have the SNES games. You got Mario World, and even Yoshi's Island. I would count it. It is a Mario game, I guess, even though it's mostly Yoshi. And then you got Sonic. You know, Sonic on the Genesis, of course, with the classic Genesis series. Even the third one, Sonic 3, and Sonic and Knuckles, all these titles. But definitely the first two, Sonic 1 and 2, I would say are the real classic ones, the ones that are really critically acclaimed. So if you compare these classic 2D platforming titles, I mean, they're very good. Sonic tends to be a lot more... I mean, there's the speed aspect of it, but it's very platforming based. It's very... and then you have the drowning aspect, which I always felt kind of iffy about. Mario doesn't drown, Sonic can drown, because he needs the bubbles, the air bubbles, and I thought, oh, I get what they're trying to do, you know, it's some sort of, like, game depth, you know, something a little bit different compared to Mario. And I guess it makes it kind of realistic, if not, just to bring a sense of danger to the water element. You know, Mario can easily just go underwater. And I mean, that's what you know, you play Mario World and Mario's swimming in the water underneath these. It doesn't even look like there's any air down there, and he's just swimming with no freaking risk of dying, you know? Anyway, I mean, I would probably give it, if I had to choose between the two in terms of the 2D platforming, man, it's tough. It really is tough. I would give the slight edge to the Mario series, simply because they got Mario Brothers 2. One of my favorite games of all time. I know it's Doki Doki Panic, but they did a good choice with that, ripping off Doki Doki Panic. That's a great gameplay feature. Loved it. Yoshi's Island, another great classic, a little bit unique with the egg throwing thing. Sonic is pretty much straightforward. You know, Sonic, CD, and all these other games, they all pretty much play the same. So you kind of, they're fun, but you expect the same thing from Sonic, whereas Mario has a little bit more variety in the 2D platforming. Alright, let's take a look at racing games. Okay, Mario definitely popularized the kart racing franchise, the genre, I should say. You got the Mario Kart series, of course, and the original SNES version. That one was a kind of a tough game too. It was pretty hard to master. Great cast of characters, and then Mario Kart 64 on the N64 was excellent. One of my favorites. And then you move on beyond that. You got the Game Boy Advance version, Super Circuit. You had the DS version, the 3DS, the Wii version. You know, and then they're, you know, later this month, they're going to come out with Mario Kart for the Wii U. So, definitely the kart series. Double Dash and the GameCube, I didn't like that one that much, but there's another one. So, they definitely have more titles in the racing aspect, the kart racing element. But Sonic, on the other hand, has... what do they have? I know Sonic had the damn handheld one for the Game Gear, and that one is okay. There's only like 4 characters you can choose, and it's a Game Gear game, so it's like, it really is like an 8-bit game. so it's even more technologically inferior compared to the first Mario Kart, on the Super Nintendo. It wasn't as advanced. It had far fewer characters, very limited. But then you move on to the 2000s, and then you got Sonic All-Stars Racing. Great game. Or I guess I should say 2010s, I guess. It's more prominent in this decade, not last decade. But Sonic and All-Stars Racing, great stuff. Very fun. You got Transformed, a highly acclaimed sequel to the original All-Stars Racing. Very similar though in gameplay. I mean, obviously there's a direct influence there. If I had to choose between the two, I can't believe I'm gonna say this, but I like All-Stars Racing better. The Sonic Racing franchise. There's just more things to do. It seems more interesting. The graphics look better. The stage designs look cool. The controls are good. I don't know what it is. I just like it better than Mario Kart. I mean, Mario Kart 64, Super Circuit, those were really good, but the All-Stars Racing really were well-made racing titles, so I gotta give it to just a little bit on the Mario, I should say, the Sonic All-Stars Racing franchise. So Sonic gets this one in terms of the racing aspect of it. Let's talk about the fighting game aspect, the fighting genre. Mario has the Smash Brothers series, so you got the Brawl, you got the original one on the N64, you have Melee on the GameCube, and so it's very well received, very popular, high selling, of course. And a lot of different characters on Nintendo's mascots. That's cool. Sonic, on the other hand, doesn't really have any fighting games with the exception of Sonic the Fighters. And, I mean, that one was like I believe a Sega Saturn game way back in the day. Really just made to capitalize and make money off the fighting game genre when that was hot. It was basically this 3D fighting game from like the mid-90s, Sonic the Fighters. Wasn't really that successful. It was just one of those games that came out just because it was, Sonic had to have its own fighting game, just like every other franchise had to have at least one fighting game back in the day. And it seemed a little bit more of a cash grab, even though, it's Sonic characters. This one, hands down, Nintendo wins this one. Mario wins this one. Mario with the Smash Brothers. Definitely a lot more established fighting games. And then we get to the 3D platforming. This one is definitely probably the most one-sided, I think Mario overall has had more consistent, critically acclaimed games all the way from 64, and then you move on to the, the GameCube game, Sunshine, and then the Wii had, the Galaxy, couple of Galaxy games there. Mario is just really consistent with the quality. You can tell that they try every single generation. They try something a little bit different, something a little bit new. Sonic, on the other hand, has been very up and down. They got some decent 3D games here and there. Adventure 1 and 2 were pretty fun, pretty decent. They haven't really aged well, in terms of, they kind of feel outdated, that the gameplay is a little bit, there's a lot of slow periods in those games now. But, on the other hand, they got games like Sonic Unleashed, an okay game, it really is okay. Sonic Unleashed, I think, is over-criticized, not a bad game. And then they got the really bad ones, like Sonic 06, which are just terrible, I mean, it's just garbage. Bad quality, a lot of glitches. It just goes up and down. Recently they've had, I mean, heck, it's always the same thing. It's always up and down, Lost World wasn't that great, but then the other ones like Generations and Colors have been fairly well received, so I will say that I do like Sonic in terms of its speed, its style, its gameplay, there's a certain fun aspect to it that Mario just doesn't have. Mario is a lot more, should I say, methodical. It's a little bit slower pace. It's more jumping and platforming, traditional based. And Sonic is a lot more speedy, speed run, shooting through the levels like a missile kind of thing. In terms of the 3D games, if I had to really choose between the two, this is gonna sound controversial, I gotta give it to Sonic. I just prefer Sonic better. It's faster. I just like it more. The visual, the graphics, the colors, the soundtrack, I prefer over the Mario stuff. I think Mario, it's kind of a hit or miss for me. It's, you know, there's not much of an interest level there. It's pretty much the same basic experience with Mario. You know, it's pretty much like you expect the characters to be the same thing. You get the same stuff with Mario over and over again. So overall, if I had to choose between the two, Mario versus Sonic, I can't really choose either one. I think I like them both. Mario more in the 2D older games, like the, you know, early 16-bit era, and the fighting game aspect is good, and then Sonic has slightly better, I don't know, racing games and 3D games. In terms of preference, I like them both. I really do. And it's just a shame that Mario was constricted and it's kind of limited to the Nintendo systems. And you can only play the Mario games if you're into the Wii U and the Wii and, you know, the Nintendo consoles. It's kind of a shame, but I really don't know. I like them both. I guess it's a tie. It really is a tie between Mario and Sonic.